Cardiologist reveals morning habits that increase heart attack risk. Poor sleep alone is rarely fatal, but what you do in the immediate moments after waking could significantly impact your cardiovascular health. There is a specific morning habit that many individuals over 60 often perform without a second thought every single day. Recent studies suggest that this habit could increase the risk of a serious cardiac event by up to 40%. This isn't about smoking or dietary choices. It's about something people do before their feet even touch the floor. What's even more concerning is that this critical information is often not discussed by medical professionals. It's vital to understand this because there is a simple, completely free protective habit that has been shown to reduce early morning cardiac events by as much as 62% in adults over 60, according to a major study published in a leading medical journal. Yet, very few people practice it correctly, or at all. Through extensive clinical experience working with thousands of men and women over 60, it has become evident that many individuals, despite eating well, taking their medications, and exercising regularly, still encounter cardiac scares. Upon closer examination, a clear pattern emerges. The morning, specifically the first 30 seconds of the day, was quietly and systematically placing undue strain on their hearts. The insights shared here may contradict common assumptions about heart health, but they are based on consistent observations across numerous cases, and it's crucial for this information to be widely known. Understanding what happens within your body each morning is paramount, as it can be more impactful than almost anything else you do throughout the day. Between approximately 4 a.m. and noon, the body undergoes a dramatic and potentially dangerous biological shift. During this period, blood pressure typically surges, the heart rate climbs, and the blood itself becomes measurably thicker and more prone to clotting. Stress hormones, particularly cortisol and adrenaline, experience a sharp spike. This natural phenomenon is known as the morning cardiovascular surge, and it is entirely normal. Your body is simply preparing itself to be alert, to move, and to function for the day ahead. However, a significant challenge arises for individuals over 60. At this age, the cardiovascular system often does not handle this surge in the same way it did at 40. Blood vessels become less flexible, and the autonomic nervous system responds more slowly. The blood's natural tendency to clot is already elevated in older adults. Consequently, this natural morning surge, which a younger person might navigate without incident, transforms into a genuine danger window for adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Studies consistently show that the majority of heart attacks and strokes occur between 6 a.m. and noon. This isn't due to breakfast choices or medications. It's primarily because of how people transition from sleep to waking. The speed and habits of that transition are critical, and for millions, this transition often includes one or several dangerous morning behaviors. The medical community has been aware of the morning surge for decades, yet patient education seldom focuses on it. While doctors appropriately discuss cholesterol and sodium, rarely do they explain precisely what happens to your heart in the first 30 seconds after you open your eyes, or how to protect yourself during this critical period. This understanding is about to change, and what is most alarming is that these habits are not complicated to adjust. They don't require prescriptions or incur costs. They simply demand awareness, and once that awareness is cultivated, everything can begin to improve. Consider for a moment what your very first action is upon waking. Do you sit up immediately, reach for your phone, or get straight out of bed? Reflecting on your current habits is the essential first step towards safeguarding your heart. Let's explore the 7 most dangerous morning mistakes that are silently increasing cardiac risk in adults over 60, ranking them from concerning to critical, followed by precise guidance on what to do instead. Number 3. Checking your phone within the first 2 minutes of waking. This habit often surprises people, as it seems harmless, perhaps even routine. However, the science reveals a different story. When you immediately reach for your phone after waking, you expose your already elevated cortisol levels to a rush of new information, notifications, news updates, emails, and messages. Your brain, which has spent the night in a deeply restorative state, is suddenly forced to process complex social and emotional information at high speed. Research published in Frontiers in Aging found that this immediate cognitive and emotional stimulation in the morning caused a measurable spike in blood pressure in adults over 60, lasting, on average, 47 minutes. This means 47 minutes of elevated blood pressure starting from the moment you first opened your eyes. For individuals whose blood vessels are already working harder due to age-related changes in arterial flexibility, such an additional pressure spike is far from trivial. It can be the critical difference between a controlled morning surge and a dangerously unstable one. It's important to note that the content on your phone doesn't even need to be stressful to trigger this response. Even positive or neutral information activates the same neurological reaction when consumed immediately after waking. Your brain and your cardiovascular system are simply not ready for this rapid influx. Forcing both into a high alert mode in those initial minutes causes cumulative damage over years and decades. The solution is straightforward. Keep your phone on the other side of the room, or even better, establish a strict 2-minute rule. No screen contact for the first 2 minutes after waking. Just 2 minutes. This small boundary allows your cardiovascular system crucial time to stabilize before being hit with external stimulation. However, this is just one piece of the puzzle, as another common mistake is even more perilous. Drinking coffee. Before drinking water, for many, coffee is a cherished morning ritual, and the goal here is not to eliminate it, but to emphasize that its timing matters enormously, especially for adults over 60. While you sleep for 7 or 8 hours, your body naturally loses approximately half a liter of water through breathing and other physiological processes. Consequently, you wake up in a state of mild, yet clinically significant, dehydration. Simultaneously, your blood is already thicker than it will be at any other point in the day, a result of the natural morning clotting tendency previously described. Introducing coffee at this point compounds the issue. Caffeine acts as a mild diuretic, encouraging your kidneys to release more fluid. While this might not be a major concern for a well-hydrated body, for an already dehydrated body with an elevated clotting tendency, it intensifies the problem. Your blood becomes even thicker, and your blood vessels, which rely on adequate hydration for elasticity, are operating with insufficient fluid. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition revealed that adults over 60 who drank coffee as their first morning beverage before consuming any water had measurably higher blood viscosity, meaning thicker, stickier blood, for up to 90 minutes after waking, compared to those who prioritized water first. Thicker blood is more difficult for your heart to pump, clots more easily, and is a key contributor to the types of cardiovascular events that can devastatingly impact lives. The fix for this takes a mere 30 seconds. Before your coffee, drink 1 full glass of water. It's best at room temperature, not ice cold, and should be 12 to 16 ounces. This single, consistent habit has been demonstrated to significantly reduce morning blood viscosity and lower early morning blood pressure. It costs nothing, requires no prescription, and could easily represent the most important 30 seconds of your entire day. Not for standing up too quickly from bed. This is a mistake that frequently leads people to emergency rooms, and it often occurs so rapidly that many don't even fully grasp what just happened. When you transition from a lying position to standing up quickly, your cardiovascular system must instantaneously redistribute several liters of blood from your core and lower body upwards to your brain and vital organs. In a young, healthy cardiovascular system, this redistribution occurs swiftly and smoothly. However, in an aging cardiovascular system, where arterial flexibility is reduced and the nervous system responds more slowly, this process is impaired. The result is orthostatic hypotension, a sudden and sharp drop in blood pressure that occurs upon standing. You might recognize this as that dizzy, momentarily disoriented sensation experienced when getting up too fast. This feeling indicates that your brain is momentarily not receiving enough blood. In mild cases, it's merely uncomfortable. In severe instances, it can cause fainting. For individuals with underlying cardiac vulnerability, it can trigger dangerous compensatory responses, such as the heart suddenly hammering to try and correct the pressure drop. According to research published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, adults over 60 who frequently experienced morning orthostatic hypotension had a 38% higher rate of major cardiac events over a 5-year period compared to those who did not. A 38% higher risk simply from standing up too fast. A common scenario involves an individual who, despite being generally healthy, experiences a near-fainting episode in their bedroom one morning. They might have woken up, sat up immediately, swung their legs over the side of the bed, and stood up all in one continuous motion, only to grab a nearby support just in time. This isn't necessarily due to dehydration or any specific medical fragility. It's simply that their cardiovascular system, at an older age, can no longer compensate as quickly as it once did for something they've done tens of thousands of times before. The solution is a simple three-step morning transition. First, upon waking, simply lie still for 30 seconds. Allow your body to fully recognize that it's awake and let your blood pressure begin its natural adjustment. Second, slowly bring yourself to a sitting position and pause for another 30 seconds. Let your legs dangle over the side of the bed, giving your circulatory system more time to adapt. Third, before you stand, plant your feet flat on the floor, lean slightly forward, and then rise slowly and intentionally. This isn't a complex medical intervention. It's an extra 30 seconds of intentional, mindful movement. Those few seconds could genuinely save a life. Your body inherently strives to protect you. It just needs you to slow down enough to allow it to do its job effectively. Skipping breakfast or eating the wrong thing. First, after the age of 60, the body's ability to regulate blood sugar during the fasting period of overnight sleep changes significantly. Insulin sensitivity shifts, and the liver continues releasing glucose throughout the night. By morning, blood sugar levels in older adults are often either too high or too low, depending on individual physiology. When you skip breakfast entirely, you ask your cardiovascular system to perform the energetically demanding work of getting you up and moving without providing any fuel. The body then responds by releasing more stress hormones, specifically adrenaline and cortisol, to mobilize stored energy. These stress hormones, already elevated due to the morning surge, only compound the cardiovascular load. However, eating the wrong type of breakfast can be equally dangerous. A meal high in refined sugar or refined carbohydrates, such as a white bagel, a pastry, or sweetened cereal, triggers a rapid and dramatic blood sugar spike, followed by an equally rapid crash. This blood sugar roller coaster has direct detrimental effects on cardiovascular function. Research published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that adults over 60 who experienced high glycemic variability in the morning had a 42% higher rate of cardiovascular events compared to those with stable morning blood sugar. The fix is not complicated. Eat within the first hour of waking. Choose a breakfast that strategically combines protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Examples include eggs with vegetables, a handful of nuts with plain yogurt, or oatmeal with flaxseed and berries. These combinations help stabilize blood sugar, reduce morning cortisol, and provide your cardiovascular system with clean, steady fuel, rather than a volatile spike and crash cycle. A crucial point often overlooked regarding morning nutrition is not just what you eat, but when. A study in the Nutrients Journal found that adults who ate breakfast within 60 minutes of waking had significantly lower morning cortisol levels and measurably reduced blood pressure variability compared to those who delayed their first meal by 2 hours or more. Your heart has been working all night. Nourish it correctly and do so on time. Exercising too intensely in the early morning. Before any misconceptions arise, this advice is not to discourage morning exercise altogether. Exercise is undeniably one of the most powerful heart-protective interventions available. However, there is a right way and a very wrong way to approach it in the morning, and the wrong way is unfortunately associated with tragic outcomes for some individuals. Here's the core problem. You wake up with blood pressure already elevated due to the morning surge. Your blood is already thicker from overnight dehydration and the natural morning clotting tendency. Your heart rate is climbing. Then you immediately launch into vigorous cardiovascular exercise, running, high-intensity intervals, or heavy lifting. This is akin to throwing gasoline on a fire that is already burning at a dangerously high temperature. Research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association indicated that vigorous exercise performed during the morning cardiovascular surge window, specifically between 6 and 9 a.m., was associated with a significantly higher rate of cardiac events in adults over 60 compared to the same intensity of exercise performed later in the day. To be precise, the risk of a major cardiac event during early morning vigorous exercise was nearly twice as high as during afternoon or evening exercise of equivalent intensity. This doesn't mean all morning exercise is detrimental. It simply means that morning exercise needs to be approached differently after the age of 60. The ideal morning movement should be gentle, gradual, and warming. This could include a 10 to 15-minute slow walk, light stretching, or gentle yoga. These movements help the cardiovascular system shift gears smoothly, rather than forcing it from 0 to 60 in mere seconds. Reserve your intense workouts for late morning, afternoon, or early evening. Your heart will not only be safer, but it will also perform better, potentially enhancing your overall results. Consider the example of a 68-year-old retired firefighter who was disciplined about his morning routine, waking at 5:30 a.m. and running 2 miles by 6 a.m., a habit he maintained for years. After experiencing chest tightness during one of his runs, it was discovered that while his heart was structurally sound and arteries in reasonable shape, the problem lay in the timing of his exertion. When advised to shift his run to the late afternoon and replace his morning routine with a 15-minute walk and stretching, he initially resisted. 6 weeks later, however, the chest tightness had completely vanished, and his resting heart rate had actually dropped by 4 beats per minute. This wasn't a miracle cure. It was his body finally being allowed to properly warm up before being asked to perform strenuous activity. Ignoring emotional stress in the first waking minutes. This is a factor that many in the medical field completely overlook. Yet through extensive clinical experience, it is believed to be one of the most underestimated contributors to morning cardiac events. Here's the process. You open your eyes, and before your body has fully completed its transition from sleep to waking, your mind begins to engage. It starts reviewing the previous day's events, anticipating today's demands, recalling appointments, family conflicts, financial worries, or health concerns. This cognitive and emotional activation, occurring before your cardiovascular system has had sufficient time to stabilize, creates a surge of cortisol on top of an already elevated baseline cortisol level. This double dose of stress hormones constricts blood vessels, promotes inflammation, increases arterial stiffness, and directly disrupts the heart's electrical conduction system. A significant study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, which followed over 9,000 adults over 60 for 8 years, found that those who reported high levels of emotional stress upon waking had a 56% higher risk of major cardiac events compared to those who reported calm or neutral waking states. A 56% higher risk, not from diet or exercise, but from what they were thinking and feeling the very moment they opened their eyes. The solution isn't about eradicating life's problems, but about consciously creating a brief morning buffer, a protected window of 2 to 3 minutes between waking and engaging with the day's demands. During this buffer, lie still. Breathe slowly and intentionally. A recommended pattern is to breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 2, and breathe out for 6. Repeat this 4 or 5 times. This specific breathing pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the body's rest and repair mode, and measurably counteracts the cortisol surge. Research demonstrates that it can reduce morning blood pressure by an average of 8 points systolic in adults who practice it consistently. 8 points of blood pressure reduction simply from intentional breathing and 2 minutes of stillness before your feet even touch the floor. An individual, a 74-year-old retired nurse, sought advice after experiencing heart palpitations on 2 consecutive mornings before 8 a.m. Her cardiac workup was normal, and her medications were appropriate. However, when asked to describe her morning routine, the situation became clear. She was waking at 6 a.m., and within 30 seconds, she was mentally reviewing her to-do list, worrying about a family member's health, and dreading an upcoming doctor's appointment. She was essentially flooding her system with emotional cortisol before her cardiovascular system had completed its morning stabilization. The instruction was simple. Before doing anything else after waking, lie still for 2 minutes, breathe slowly, and name 3 things she was grateful for. Nothing complicated, just 2 minutes of conscious stillness. 3 weeks later, she reported no further palpitations and expressed a newfound understanding of her own body. This was not luck. It was the application of science, allowing her heart the precious gift of a 30-second buffer it had unknowingly been seeking. Inability whilst moving from lying down to full activity without a transition protocol. Everything discussed so far converges on this most critical mistake: the immediate phone check, the coffee before water, the rapid rise from bed, the skipped breakfast, the intense early morning exercise, and the emotional overload all are manifestations of the same fundamental error. They each represent a refusal to provide your cardiovascular system with an essential transition period. After the age of 60, your heart simply cannot go from 0 to 60 in 30 seconds. It was not designed to. When you force it to do so every single morning, the cumulative damage over months and years can be staggering. A comprehensive study published in Frontiers in Aging, which followed 12,000 adults over 60 for a decade, found that those who implemented a structured morning cardiovascular transition protocol had a 62% lower rate of major cardiac events in the 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. window compared to those who did not. This significant reduction of 62% highlights the profound impact of a mindful morning routine. The protocol itself is not complex. It is merely the intentional application of all the protective habits discussed today, combined into a single, coherent morning routine. Here is precisely how to implement this vital protocol, starting tomorrow morning. When you wake, do not move immediately. Lie still for 30 seconds. Allow your awareness to return gently. Breathe slowly and feel the bed beneath you. This gives your nervous system crucial time to complete the transition from sleep to full waking. After 30 seconds, begin slow, deep breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2, and exhale for 6. Repeat this pattern 4 times. This action activates your parasympathetic nervous system and effectively begins to modulate your body's cortisol response. Now, bring yourself slowly to a sitting position. Avoid rushing this step. Once seated, pause for another 30 seconds. This allows your blood pressure to begin redistributing and helps your body adapt to the change. In orientation. Before you stand, drink the glass of room temperature water that you thoughtfully placed on your nightstand the night before. This is your essential hydration-first protocol. Aim for a minimum of 12 ounces and drink it slowly. Finally, stand slowly. Plant your feet firmly on the floor, lean slightly forward, and rise with deliberate intention. For the first 5 to 10 minutes after standing, move gently. This could involve slow walking or light stretching, anything that does not significantly elevate your heart rate. During this period, your phone remains face down, your coffee patiently waits, your to-do list is set aside, and your worries are temporarily deferred. For just 2 minutes, your sole focus is to provide your cardiovascular system with the necessary runway to take off safely. That is the entire protocol. 30 seconds of stillness, 4 slow breaths, a gradual rise, a glass of water, followed by gentle movement. It takes less than 3 minutes, and according to compelling research, these 3 minutes could be what keeps you out of the emergency room. Now, let's detail how to integrate this seamlessly into your daily life so it becomes an automatic, beneficial habit. Tonight, before you go to sleep, ensure a full glass of room temperature water is placed prominently on your nightstand. This single preparatory act significantly primes your new morning routine. Set your alarm just 2 minutes earlier than usual, not for extra sleep, but specifically to accommodate your new transition protocol. For the first week, it's highly recommended to write the protocol on a note card and tape it to your nightstand. A simple reminder like, lie still, breathe, sit slowly, drink water, stand slowly, gentle movement. You are actively building a new habit, and initial habits often benefit from clear visual reminders. Within just 3 days, you will likely begin to feel a noticeable difference. The morning grogginess that many individuals attribute to age is frequently, in part, a symptom of the cardiovascular stress caused by abrupt morning transitions. When you smooth this transition, that grogginess often dissipates much more quickly. Within a week, you should observe more stable energy levels in the early morning, with less of that shaky, anxious, slightly unwell feeling that many older adults experience before their first coffee. Within a month, if you monitor your blood pressure, you will probably see measurable improvement in your morning readings. Your healthcare provider, if you share your new routine, will likely be surprised and pleased with your numbers, and you will have achieved this without altering a single medication, without spending any money, and without stepping foot in a gym. As you embark on this new routine, be mindful of these critical errors to avoid. First, never skip the water. It is not an optional component. It is the single most impactful physical intervention within the protocol. Second, do not reach for your phone before your transition is fully complete. 2 minutes is all you are asking of yourself. Your phone can wait. Third, do not strive for immediate perfection on day 1 and then abandon the protocol by day 3 if you forget once. You are not failing if you miss a morning. Simply start again the next day. Habits are forged through consistency, not flawless execution. Fourth, do not underestimate the profound impact of the breathing component. The 4-2-6 breath pattern is far from a mere relaxation gimmick. It is a clinically validated intervention with measurable cardiovascular effects. Take it seriously. You are not broken. Perhaps your morning routine was, and now you possess the precise knowledge to fix it. Consider one final scenario. An individual, a 78-year-old retired engineer, had survived a minor cardiac event 2 years prior. His cardiologist had adjusted his medications, emphasized eating better, and encouraged more walking, all valuable advice. However, no one had addressed his mornings. When he described his routine, it mirrored every single mistake discussed here. Waking at 5:45 a.m., phone in hand within 30 seconds, immediately standing up, coffee before water, and out the door for a brisk walk by 6:15 a.m. Every single mistake, every single morning, for decades. When guided through the transition protocol, he was initially skeptical, given his analytical background. Yet, by diligently implementing these steps, he experienced a profound positive shift in his well-being. This demonstrates that even long-held habits can be reshaped with awareness and intentional effort, leading to tangible improvements in cardiovascular health.